Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawm ad-din wa ba'd. Okay, how's everyone doing today?
All right.
Okay, alhamdulillah, it's good to see you all. Can you all still see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So last week we went over some of the part of the book, and so I prepared some notes. And everybody remembers that you have to be responsible for what you get in this presentation. Some not right on the board, and also some that I might mention that's not in either one. All right. So I did prepare for you some formal notes. So the other thing I'm doing is I got a, what is it called? I got a projector. So I'm gonna be able to, but I need another piece for it. I'm waiting for it to come in the mail. And as soon as it comes in the mail, we can have the projector like on the wall and everybody that's here can see each other. All right, so I do have a request for if you're in the class to turn your camera on. Treat it like a real class, because it is a real class. All right, everybody there? Now, who doesn't have a copy of the book?
Me, I don't have a copy.
Who's me?
Kiara.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna email you a copy. But are you able to access down the bottom there?
I don't see it.
Okay.
I didn't see that either.
All right. On your screen, it should down the bottom where you mute your mic and the camera, raise hands and all that stuff. You see?
Yeah.
In the Q&A, right?
Yeah, it says questions and answers on Islamic creed. There's a drop down arrow.
It's not there. I went there. I didn't see it.
Okay. I'm gonna make an excuse for you because you're special.
I'm about to leave.
Don't leave. Don't leave. Okay, mashallah. Well, I'll get you a copy of the book.
All right, inshallah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to get started. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawm ad-din. Okay, this class is called The Question and Answers on Islamic Creed. And let me see how I'm supposed to do that. Okay. Can everybody still see the screen?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a presentation of the Islamic Creed from us, the Kuba School and Islamic Center. I'm the instructor, as you know that. All right. So here's the book right here. It's called Al-Jawahir Al-Kalamiyya fi Idda Al-Aqida Islamiyya. All right. So we're going to review a little bit from last week with these official notes. So the translation they have is called The Jewel of the Theologians in Light of the Islamic Creed. All right.
You read that off the book.
Huh? It's on the PowerPoint presentation, but you got some of the stuff from last week. I'm gonna write some of it down. All right. So this is the name of the book. I gotta write a few notes for my students who are here in person. All right. And you guys, y'all could take notes on this. Y'all can take notes on the screen right here. Give me 1 second. Y'all got copies of the book, right?
Yeah, he's dropping the money.
I need that dough. Need that dough out. All right, so for those on the Google Meet, make sure you write down the copy, the name of this book, Because everything that's in this PowerPoint presentation, you're going to be responsible for knowing. All right.
Inshallah.
So the jewel of the theologians in light of the Islamic creed, or al-Jawahir al-Kalamiyya fi Idda al-Aqidah Islamiyya. So this is a book that's covering what is necessary to know about the creed. We covered some of this last week. And the book was by the author. He put the book together in question and answer form, which is a total of 102 questions. All right. So the book will be a question, and then it will be an answer that the Sheikh, he put the answer, and then we'll just be adding some notes to it, inshallah. All right. So everybody got the name of this book?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the author. His name is Sheikh Tahir al-Jazairi al-Damashqi. A lot of this is from review from last week. Let's see if anybody else came in. Yeah, nobody else came in. So a lot of this is from review from last week. Just give me a second there. All right, so Sheikh Tahir is the author. Al-Jazairi. Somebody just joined. Excuse me 1 second. All right, now the notes I'm writing is for people who are present here. And another thing. I want you to get in the habit of writing. You're taking notes. Because nowadays everybody's taking pictures. Yeah, it's starting to make me wonder who y'all work for, man. Work for them boys, man. Walk ahead taking pictures. Yeah. All right, Sheikh Tahir al-Jazairi. All right. And can y'all still see this PowerPoint screen now?
Yeah, the author.
Yeah. So he was born in 1268
Yes.
AH, which is equivalent to 1852. All right. Yeah. And he died in the year 1338, which is equivalent to 1920 of our time. All right. So as you know, when I do my classes, you have to know the author's name, and particularly when they died, I would like for you to know the Hijri dates. And when we study, scholars of the past, it's very important to know their Hijri dates. Very important. All right. So if any date that I need you to remember is the date that he passed away. All right. 1920 or 1338 Hijri. So he authored over 35 books, which many of them are still in manuscript. And he was a member of the Arabic Academy in Damascus. And he was the director of the famous Zahiriya Library. Anybody heard of the Zahiriya Library?
No. No, sir.
A library that has a whole bunch of manuscripts. Like, you got to be a top level kind of scholar to even get in there. All right. So he was like the director of that library. Inshallah, you can look that up on your own time. All right, everybody got this down? This screen here?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. So for this screen, I need you to know basically the author's name.
Mm-hmm.
You see some of the stuff that he was qualified in: tafsir, hadith, fiqh, usul, history, and Arabic language. Very well-rounded scholar, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah have mercy on him. So this is the author of this book that we're doing. All right. Okay, then this is translated by a modern-day scholar. His name was Maulana Hafidhur Rahman Fatu Muhammad. All right, he was born in Holland. So without even knowing who he is, Holland is where white people live. All right. Mm-hmm. I don't know if some of y'all knew that, because y'all be like, I'm just joking. All right, so he was a graduate of Jamia al-Ilm wa Huda, which is in Blackburn, the UK. And he was trained as a mufti in Durban, South Africa, under one of the couple of modern-day scholars. His name's Mufti Ibrahim Desai and Mufti Hussein Kadodia. All right. So here we have a definition of what a mufti is, because you probably heard this term before. Y'all got this? What is a mufti? Anybody want to answer? Well, y'all got the answer there. Huh? A judge. All right. But basically, a mufti is only qualified to relate fatwa that are already he has a precedence for. All right. So we hear about mufti such and such and mufti so and so, and we might think that they high level people, but they actually the mufti is like one level above the awam, which is us, the common people. So a mufti, if you go to a mufti, you be like, okay, what's the ruling on this? His real qualification is only to tell you something that's already preceded. Like he's supposed to know where he can find it, you know. And this is going to be important because, you know, in the area, in the climate we live in, you have people thinking that anybody can just go to the Quran and Sunnah and deduce a ruling, you know. Right. It ain't like that, because mufti is the lower level of, you know, at least 6 levels above it. All right. So you got the mufti who relates to fatwa. You got the mufti within the school. You got the mufti who knows the rulings of all the different schools. Then you got the top level mufti, which is called a mujtahid. A mujtahid is like an absolute scholar who is able to go to the primary sources and deduce rulings. All right. So this ain't the scope of this class, but we'll cover some of that stuff. All right. So here on this screen, you need to know a definition of a mufti. A high level is one who is able to independently deduce rulings from the Quran and the Sunnah. This is called a mujtahid mutlaq. Mujtahid mutlaq. We'll cover that down the line, but just remember that phrase. All right. That's not the scope of this book. And then on the lower level, he's qualified to pass on the rulings that has already preceded. So don't be fooled by titles. All right. You know, you see somebody's mufti of so and so and such and such. It's probably at the basic level, all right? And with a little effort, you know, with a little study and training, we might could get somewhere close to it, inshallah. Any questions so far?
No.
All right, so when we talk about this sheikh here, the translator, when he was trained to be a mufti, so what they do is they take the person once they graduate and they put them in real life situations, you know, and they, you know, let them, you know, give them situations that come into their office or whatever, and then, okay, you got to find them. Why is this? What's the ruling for this? What's the fatwa that already preceded? So they get trained to know how to deal with situations. Because rulings, when we talk about mufti, comes from the word fatwa, right? The one who is qualified to give a fatwa, all right? As we said, there's different levels. So the main level, the lower level, the mufti, he got to go and find a fatwa that already exists. And the high level mujtahid can issue a fatwa based on the circumstances. All right. And one thing we should remember, that a fatwa is supposed to be suited to your situation. When you get a fatwa from a scholar, it's supposed to be suited to your situation, not where it's just general. You hear this thing, what's the fatwa on this? And somebody gets a ruling from a sheikh and it might not apply to a person's particular situation. So you got to be careful. Like a fatwa is not binding. You hear people say the sheikh said and the fatwa was issued. What's the circumstance behind it? You know, that's something that's very important in the matter of fiqh. All right, any questions on that? Any questions for anybody online?
No, we're good.
Okay. So question number 1, now we in the book, we just went right to it. What does Islamic creed mean? It says Islamic creed entails those matters which Muslims believe in. They affirm its correctness. So we talked about Aqidah last week. What does Aqidah mean? I mean, was it last week? The word Aqidah comes from what word? I'm talking to my students in person right now. Well, we talked about it last week online. All right. So it comes from the Arabic word aqada, means which to tie a knot, or put something in tie a bundle of sticks together. And with relationship to the belief is all of the things that we believe as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. All right. And this phrase we're going to cover a little later on. The people of the Sunnah in the majority. Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. All right. Because you often hear this phrase. Ahlul Sunnah. People Ahlul Sunnah, and they try to say who's not. And the phrase, the part that we miss out on is Jama'ah. So Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is the people of the Sunnah and the majority. All right. What does that mean? Anybody want to take a stab at it? When we say the people of the Sunnah and the majority, the Jama'ah. The majority of the Muslims. The majority of the Muslims. All right. Because how many of you have heard this term or you hear this term about the saved sect? Yeah, about the hadith about the 73 sects.
Mm-hmm.
How many of you online heard this term?
No.
Yes.
Who wants to take a stab at what they understand it to mean?
What they understand it to mean?
Huh?
What they understand it to mean? What they?
Oh no, you. What do you understand it to mean?
The one who follows the well, I understand it being one who follows the majority. The majority.
Okay, so when you say follow the majority, you mean follow the majority of all of the Sahaba?
No, I mean the majority. Muslims.
Yeah, the majority of the Muslims. All right. Anybody else got something before we talk about it a little bit?
I think it's 73 different understandings of the Sunnah.
No,
No,
not 73 different understandings of the Sunnah.
like the way they perceive the Sunnah to be given to them, how they digest it.
No, there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, he said that my ummah will divide into he said the Jews will divide into 71 sects and the Christians will divide into 72 sects. And he said, my ummah will divide into 73 sects, and all of them are in the hellfire except for one. Right? And so when they asked who was the one, he said, Ana wa ashabihi. He said, what I am on and my companions. And there's different narrations to the hadith. But it indicates not a few people, it means the majority. Because now what people do these days, and we got to be careful, they will tell you the saved sect means their group. And everybody who follows them, and then they've got it backwards. The majority of the people are misguided except these few people. And it's not like that. Because the majority of the Muslims follow the right way. All right. So when we talk about fiqh, right, and we talk about Aqidah, what's been passed down that the majority of Muslims follow it. You know, when the Prophet ﷺ said, what I am upon and my companions, you look at all the companions in each school of thought, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, all of them are connected to one of the Sahabas. All right. And everybody should follow a school of thought. You know, that way you connected to the Sahabas are connected to the Prophet ﷺ. We're going to cover that in another class, but I'm just mentioning it to see where everybody is. All right. And one of the signs, just for a note, one of the signs of a sect that is not the saved sect is that it is a small number. It is a small number. So always remember that when you hear people talking about that they are from the saved sect, or they give this indication that they are the only ones following the right way. If their numbers are small, they're not. All right. So just remember that. All right. Any questions going? Any questions so far?
No.
So we talking about akada. Akida comes from the word akada, which is the bond with a rope. Another trivia question. Did the Prophet ﷺ use the word akida? No, he didn't. So this is another thing, because in this class we're gonna have to debunk a lot of stuff that have been put on us, you know, especially with belief. So because you hear often sometimes that people they say that they don't do anything or say anything that the Prophet didn't say or do. You heard this before?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So people say nowadays, okay, we only do what the Prophet did, and whatever he didn't do, we don't do. But is this the understanding that the Prophet wanted for us? Did he say, like, do everything that I do and everything I don't do it?
No.
No, that's not what he said. So if that was the case, we wouldn't use the companions or the righteous people from the Salaf. They would not have used this word if they understood that like that. All right. So the Prophet used the word for belief as Iman. Iman is the word. All right. But Aqidah is a word that was used later times to put the distinction between the people of Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah and those different groups in the past who deviated from the proper belief. Because like we said last week or the week before, we didn't always have this luxury to know what the proper beliefs were, because there were a lot of deviant groups that were promoting views that some of the Muslims were starting to buy into it, you know. And that's beyond the scope of this class, but we'll cover it in another class, inshallah. So it's important to know that we are Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah, the people of the Sunnah and the majority. All right. Any questions on that?
No.
All right. Most of this is review for those who were here last week online or in class. All right. So what does Islam mean? This is question number 2 in the book. What does Islam mean?
To submit.
Testifications.
Y'all
Peace.
online, y'all got the PowerPoint, so y'all don't get no points for answering this. I'm talking to my students right here.
Oh, excuse me.
Huh?
To bear witness.
Uh-huh.
Bear witness.
Well, right here, what we said is the Islam is to testify with the tongue and to believe in the heart that all that which our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came with is the truth and is correct. So Islam is basically what? When we say someone become a Muslim, what do they have to do? Take Shahada, and what else? 5 pillars. So Islam is what? The 5 pillars. All right, cause y'all, y'all gotta explain this. You just can't be sitting around. Because when you leave here, you gotta be like, okay, what is Islam? Islam is to testify Shahada, Salat, Zakat, Saum, Hajj. What does Shahada mean? What does Salat mean? That's what I'm looking for. All right. So what does Islam mean? Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, so the brother here, he mentioned y'all can't see him. He hired from the camera. Abdullah, he said that his 5 pillars is Islam is the Shahada, was to testify there's no God but Allah. The Prophet Islam is final messenger. To pray the Salat, to pay the Zakat, to fast the Psalm of Ramadan, and to make the Hajj. All right. And here we have on this, in addition to that, when you testify to these pillars, they have to testify with the tongue and to believe in the heart. That it has to be done with ikhlas, with sincerity, with tasdeeq, confirmation, and yaqeen, certainty. Somebody has their mic on. Can everybody mute their mics unless you have? And yaqeen, certainty. So remember these 3 things. When a person enters to Islam, it should be with ikhlas, sincerity, tasdeeq, confirmation, and yaqeen, certainty. And also the other meaning we gave of Islam, which means istislam, to surrender, to yield, to give up your free will to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right. And we give the ayat from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu udkhulu fi silmi kafa. O you who believe, enter into Islam wholeheartedly. All right. So on this slide here, you need to know what those 3 terms, ikhlas, tasdeeq, and yaqeen, what do they mean? Ikhlas means sincerity, tasdeeq is confirmation, and yaqeen is certainty. I'll send y'all a copy of this PowerPoint, all right? Because it's easier to just go through it instead of writing it on the board. All right, but I still might write something on the board. Just be ready. All right. So Islam, and also if I say what is another meaning of Islam, you should know istislam, which means to surrender. All right. And this ayat reference is in Surah Baqarah, ayat 208. Istislam. Istislam. Islam. Islam equals Istislam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Could you spell that? Islam?
Istislam. Okay, can you see this? Can you see me?
No, I can't see you.
Okay. Are you able to see the screen? The PowerPoint?
No, I'm on the phone. phone chat.
Oh, okay. All right. It's Istislam. ISTISLAM.
IST.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any questions?
Yeah.
All right. So the next question is question number 3. What are the foundations of the Islamic creed? So this is talking about the 6 articles of faith. What are the 6 articles of faith? That's part of the color. But the 6 articles that we know from in the Quran and in the Hadith, in order. You just said them, but one of them you said that's not part of it. You said Allah, the angels, the books, the messengers. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, before the color, something else. What is Yawm al-Akhir? The last day. Yawm al-Akhir means the last day, or the judgment day, or any of those names that's going by. Oh, that's a trivia. That's a nice test question. Some of the different names of the judgment day that you got to, like, yeah. All right, I like that. So next week, all right, everybody online, you hear? I want you to search some of the different names for the judgment day.
Different names of the judgment day?
Yes, they're known by a number of names. Yom al-Akhir is the one we know in the Hadith. There's a few others.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's come up with as many as you can. And don't Google them right now. Do some real research. It's a few. I'm not telling you the number. Yeah, you got research. Yeah, you look.
Lots of them too.
Yeah,
bunch of names.
Yeah, so we believe Allah, the angels, the books, the messengers, Yom al-Akhir, and then the Qadr, the good and the evil of it. All right. So if one to become a Muslim, they have to know those 5 pillars, and then they have to know those 6 articles of faith, and they have to believe in them with what? With blank, blank, and blank. Certainty. What's the Arabic word for certainty? No, certainty is yaqeen. Ikhlas is what?
Sincerity.
Sincerity. And confirmation is what? Tasdeeq. Okay. All right. Any questions on that?
No.
Certainty is yaqeen. All right. The next question. All right. It says, what is our general belief in Allah? We believe that Allah is endowed with the qualities of perfection and is free and pure from all types of deficiencies. All right. So another term that we might not know is this word tanzih. Any people online don't answer. What is tanzih? I'm talking to my audience right now, but I'll get to y'all in a second. Tanzih. You ever seen this word? Huh? Don't Google it. Don't Google it. Anybody know what tanzih means? It means complete transcendence. Transcendence. All right, that's the term you gotta know. Anybody want to read this meaning that we put on the slide online?
You need somebody to read it?
Yeah. I need you to read it since you alhamdulillah.
Tanzih, complete transcendence, or to affirming in absolute and emphatic terms that there is no similitude between Allah and his creation. Allah does not resemble his creation in any way, and there is no creation that is similar to him in any way. No imagination can conceive of him, and no understanding can comprehend him, as he is different from all created beings. Alhamdulillah,
shukran. Okay, so we all heard this term. We use it oftentimes. We say Subhanallah. What does Subhanallah mean? It means glory be to Allah, but it has a more comprehensive or more detailed meaning. And here we put in the slide, it means that you
Above,
declare, huh?
Allah is above any deficiency.
Yeah, he is far removed and free from every imperfection or impurity or
No,
from what they say about him. All right.
no.
So that's what Subhanallah means. Allah is free from any imperfection. All right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, alhamdulillah. All right. So that's a meaning that we should know. So if I ask you on the quiz, you know, Allah means, Subhanallah means glory to Allah. What else does it mean? So you might want to know that he is free from any imperfections and any deficiencies or impurities. All right. I'll email y'all the copy of this PowerPoint so you can have notes. All right. Yeah, this is our review. So last week we were just going through the book so I prepared some notes and a PowerPoint slide. All right. All right. Any questions so far? Anybody?
No.
All right. Now this stuff, like we mentioned last week, some of this stuff is basic, but some of these things we're gonna get into the book. It's gonna be the real deal. All right. Question number 5. What is our detailed belief in Allah? We believe that Allah is attributed with these attributes, these 13 attributes that we mentioned last week, and these attributes are necessary for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We said Allah has 13 necessary attributes. And you remember we talked about that? Okay, so here we have them in English. We have that Allah is attributed with existence, pre-eternity, infinity, absolute dissimilarity from all contingent beings, self-subsistence, oneness, life, knowledge, omnipotence, will, hearing, seeing, speech, and that he is living, he's all-knowing, all-powerful, willing, all-hearing, all-seeing, and he is speaking. All right. So these some of these are classified, some 13 and some say 20 attributes, but these are the attributes that are necessary for Allah to be who he is, because they are in the absolute sense with respect to him. Remember we talked about that last week? Yeah, we reviewed it last week, and we kind of going over it again because now I got my notes official. All right. So now the way the format of the book, if anybody read ahead, the Sheikh is covering each one of these attributes one by one. So like he put them in the usually what you do when you learn these attributes, you learn the opposites as well. All right. So I'm going to do it the way the format the book is, that we learn the attributes first and then we learn the opposites. All right. You got your book with you? Yahamakallah. You got your book with you? All right. So these attributes, they are wajib. They are necessary for the one who is mukallaf. What is mukallaf? Come on, Brother Keith. Let me look on here to see who y'all, anybody going to sleep. What's going on?
Mukallaf is the one who's legally of age to be judged, who the angels are recording.
Okay, so the age when one becomes accountable. What is that? What is that age? What are the signs?
For a man, it's either 15 when he starts growing pubic hair, or when he starts having wet dreams. For a woman, it's when she starts her menstrual cycles. Okay.
Tayyib, good. All right. So everybody understand that the one is mukallaf is one that the age of accountability. Let me ask you another question. What's the difference between one who is mukallaf and one is tamyiz? Anybody know what mumayyiz is? Tamyiz? This is not on the board or on the PowerPoint, but I'm talking about it, so you got to know something about it. Tamyiz. Let me put that in. What is tamyiz? Anybody know?
One who is not legally responsible.
Can I take a shot at it?
Huh?
Can I take a shot at it?
Yeah, take a stab at it, man.
That means I said reach the age of puberty, but is deficient in has a I guess a mental problem or something like that.
No, you took a stab at it and you missed it.
Okay.
It's like I was just messing with you, bro. Tamyiz, tamyiz is the age of distinction. All right, so that's a little earlier before mukallaf. Mukallaf
Okay,
is the
yeah.
age where you actually, your deeds are actually being recorded on your scale. But Tamyiz is the age when you have the ability to know right from wrong.
Right.
And that's before you're accountable. So
Right.
what age would that be?
10.
Give you a hint. What
I
age
think
should we start commanding our children to pray?
6 to 7, I guess. Yeah.
Seven. And some scholars have even said that before that, you know, they kids kind of know, like when they're around 4 or 5. You know, if you have children, you know, they kind of know when they be messing up, when they do stuff. They know how to pit you against each other as parents. They know how to read you. They know how to get anything out of want you. So they, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the ability in us early that we're able to make distinguishing things about the creation, how we process information. But 7 is around the age where Tamyiz. So Tamyiz is different from Mukallaf. And one of the things we should take from that is that when in this Tamyiz, or child is Mumayyiz, they know what they're doing, but they're not accountable. So sometimes you can't treat them the same way as when they become Mukallaf. So in other words, kids get away with a lot before they reach that age. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, you see some parents, you know, they be cussing at kids like sailors, you know what I mean? And they be like 6 or 7. They're not accountable for nothing. It's like they got a free pass. So sometimes, you know, you got to discipline them and nurture them, but you just got to keep that in mind. They don't have the ability yet to be accountable. All right. So Mukallaf is the age where they become accountable, and we mentioned that is the age where the deeds start to go on the scale, and the person is held accountable for it. All right. So with respect to these ayahs that we're discussing, that these are an obligation on every person who is Mukallaf. They need to know for themselves as an individual obligation what these attributes for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean and understand them. All right. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right. So we said it is obligatory for the one who is Mukallaf to know for Allah what is wajib, what is mustahil, and what is yajuz. All right. So wajib, we said that what is rationally and absolutely necessary for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right. So that means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has attributes that are absolutely necessary for him to be who he is. All right. And we're going to cover these attributes one by one. But this group here that we put in this slide, that we're going to know them, and we're going to memorize them in Arabic. We're going to do it together, inshallah. So you know, that'll become where you will be tasked to know them. All right. So I might call you out of the blue, like Sister Kiara. What are the necessary attributes for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the one who is Mukallaf must know? And when I do that, you got to answer. All right. Sister Kiara, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just at work.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. We appreciate you, you know, risking your livelihood to learn with us. Alhamdulillah. you gonna get in trouble over there?
Nah, yeah.
Oh, you're the boss over there. I forgot. All right, my bad. All right. So now one thing that we need to remember with respect to these attributes is this line at the bottom, and we mentioned that last week. The absence of them is inconceivable, and the opposite of them are impossible. The absence of them are inconceivable, and the opposite of them are impossible. So this might show up on, for instance, a quiz, and it might be like a fill in the blank kind of thing. I'm giving you hints. I'm giving you hints. This might show up on the quiz like a, you know, fill in the blank. This sentence, the blank of blank is blank, and blank is blank is blank. It might be some multiple choice. Because I know y'all know how to do them patterns and stuff from school. You get a C, but that's not acceptable here. This is obligatory knowledge, right? This is obligatory knowledge. All right. So this ain't school to try to get a grade so you don't get in trouble. This is for the akhirah, all right? So this is stuff we need to know. All right, any questions on that?
Away. I want to finish writing before you take the slide away, brother. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So we was on the 5th question, right?
We're on question number 5. All right, there's a question while you're doing that in the chat. We could cover that real quick. All right. All right, it says, question, why do we say him when pertaining to Allah, while Allah isn't a man? And we don't say she, but why do we say he, while Allah isn't a man? All right. So basically in the Arabic language, there's only really two things is defined as masculine and feminine and dual. All right. So he, even though we refer to Allah as a he, it doesn't mean gender. I mean, it's just a formality that we use because he is the dominant over the she in Arabic. All right. So it can't be two as in dual, but we don't mean it. It should be understood that we don't mean gender. All right. So that's just how the language is, you know. I don't know if that answers your question or not, brother, but
yeah.
Because when we talk about these necessary attributes, when we say he, because of Allah, what we know that's necessary to believe about him, it is impossible to attribute these things for him. Because if we say that he, you know, this is how we differ from the Christians, that they believe that he was God incarnate. So, and then that means he was part of something, or he was something affected him, or he had a beginning. And Allah's necessary attributes, when we read them and understand them, that this is impossible for him. This is why Allah is totally distinct. This concept we said tanzi, total and absolute transcendence from any created thing, because anything that's created has a beginning. It has the possibility. It will come to non-existence. It will come to annihilation. It will die. It will come to an end. And all of these things are impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Shukran.
Okay. All right. So everybody got those notes on the we go to the next slide.
Yes.
All right. No. Maybe. Maybe it depends on how we rolling. I mean, I ain't gonna take too much time, you know. Okay, so now question number 6 in the book, it says, what is our belief regarding the existence of Allah? And the existence of Allah, the answer that the Shaykh gives, we believe that Allah is existent and that his presence is self-supporting and not through any means, and that his existence is necessary and it is impossible for non-existence to befall him. All right, so when we say existence of Allah, that attribute that Allah is al-wujud, that he is existing. All right, this is an attribute that expresses that Allah exists, and the existence of Allah does not depend on any other being, and it is one of his necessary attributes. Now, as we go, we're going to cover another book. Right now, I want you to know these attributes, but then there's another book that we're going to cover on the Creed that classifies all of these attributes. They're in different categories, and this existence is one by itself. All right, it is his sifat nafsiyah. It is the attribute that is Allah, is unique to Allah, and that is he exists. All right, you know. So this is what, nafsiyah. We're gonna cover it. Don't worry about that right now. But no, al-wujud means existence. Existence without any means to come into existence, without a beginning, and all those kind of things. All right. So that's the first one. We're gonna go one by one, and then after we cover all of them, we're going to memorize them. All right. So al-wujud. Al-wujud. All right. Any questions on that? Any questions on that?
No.
No, sir.
All right. Can we go to the next slide? Cut it out, man. All right. Next slide. All right. Now, I typed all this stuff up on the PowerPoint. It's the same thing in the book. But when I going forward, I probably just type the answers to the questions and somebody just read, because this is part of an interactive class. All right. So this ain't just sitting here and taking notes and then, you know, because I got something for people that don't remember the stuff. Yeah. I had to use my authority, man. I got a little stick around here. Because you look like you're going to be that trouble student, man. All right. Question number 7. What is our belief regarding the pre-eternity of Allah? The pre-eternity of Allah is attributed with al-qidam. We mentioned this last week. Al-qidam means pre-eternity or existence without a beginning. Al-Qidam. So we can write these on the board. The first one says Al-Wujud.
That's in the book or it's not?
Yeah, it's in the book. Al-Wujud is existence. So, and now one thing we have to remember with respect to when we talk about creed, that this is covering creed all around the board, not just for Muslims. Because, you know, for instance, people might believe that Allah is 1 and 3 or Allah is a statue, right? But before you can even get to Allah's oneness, you got to believe first that God exists, because there are people that don't believe that there's no existence for Allah, all right? So Al-Qidam, here's pre-eternity, existence without a beginning. All right. Pre-eternal, or existing without a beginning. And Allah has always existed, and he was not created after some type of event. And it is impossible to imagine a moment that Allah did not exist. In fact, it is he who created time and place, and therefore he is free from the conditions of time and place. And that is something that we can't even fathom on a real level. You know. All right. So we got Al-Wujud and Al-Qidam. Everybody got this, or you need to write it down, or
We're good.
good? Can we go to the next slide?
Yes.
And when I upgrade, man, I'm gonna be able to be like, you know, somebody's gonna do this for me. When I be like, I'm gonna just be like, next slide, and somebody's gonna click it on for me. I'm getting there. I'm coming up in this game, man. Y'all make dua for me, inshallah. Al-Qidam. All right, so it's pre-eternity or existence without a beginning. And Al-Wujud is existing eternally. All right. So they're a little similar. All right. And Al-Qidam means something like to something that goes forward. So nothing came before Allah, basically. All right. Question number 8. What is our belief regarding the endlessness of Allah? And that is al-baqa. Al-baqa. Al-baqa is endlessness or everlastingness. Where's the mark I just had?
These are part of the attributes that
These are the attributes that are necessary to know. Necessary for who? These attributes are necessary for who? Who has to know these? Another something we just covered. Not the majority, not everybody. No. But what we say, the person when they reach what?
Mukallaf.
Mukallaf. The age of accountability, everyone must know these. And not I heard them say or it sounded right. You got to know what they mean. All right. All right. So we said everlastingness. Or non-ending existence. All right. So al-baqa comes from a meaning like to remain, to endure. All right. Baqiya means to like endure, to remain forever. So Allah is attributed with al-baqa, everlastingness, endlessness, no end. He will never cease to exist, nor will non-existent, which is the opposite, ever before him. All right. So as I said, in the format of the book, they cover these necessary attributes that you believe in, and then they cover the opposites later on down in the book. All right, so we're going to do these just according to the format. Instead of just troubling you with knowing this and then the opposite, we'll do it all at one whop, just follow the format of the book. Any questions there?
No.
Can we go to the next slide?
Now.
Okay. Everybody with me there? I only hear one person talking. Yeah, y'all good?
We good. Yeah, we good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we all right.
Okay, alhamdulillah, good. That's great. That's great to hear. Wonderful. Okay, so the next slide is number 9. What is our belief regarding Allah's absolute dissimilarity? Absolute dissimilarity from all contingent things. All right, that attribute is called al-mukhalafa lil-hawadith. We covered this last week, right?
Yeah, we covered that in the first class.
Yeah, I'm still reviewing some of this. Mukhalafa lil hawadith. And that means that non-resemblance to all events, creatures, and creation. Or we just put non-resemblance.
Can you say the word again? Mukhalaf what?
Mukhalafa lil hawadith. Non-resemblance to created things or events. All right. So al-mukhalafa lil hawadith means the opposite of occurrences. All right. And so that means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that nothing resembles Allah, and we in three categories: in his that, his sifat, and his af'al. All right, everybody got that? So Allah is absolutely dissimilar to created things in his that, which means his self. All right, his self or his essence. His sifat, his attributes or descriptions, and his af'al, his actions. All right. Now, this is going to be important because, there was questions in previous, generations of people when they had beliefs about Allah. So if we are the people who claim that we believe in God properly, right, and we make the claim that our belief is the only one right, it has to be detailed. Has to be detailed. So it covers things all around the board, all right? And so, for instance, just thinking, how people believe in other gods or other deities and think that they have powers, then they have to have the same thing as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the absolute sense. So if someone claims that something is a deity or something worthy of worship, it has to have these attributes. And that's why Allah is Allah, because no other thing has it, Like, for instance, many of us, we grew up in Christianity, and we believe that Jesus was 1 in 3, or he was, the Son of God and these kind of things. But he didn't have the attributes that God has, all right, because he died. He ate food. He had an ending. He had a beginning, He had a time span. Things affected him, So Allah is totally unlike the creation. Al-mukhalafa lil hawadith, non-resemblance to events. Hawadith, when we mentioned, it comes from the word hadith. What does hadith mean? Yes, a record is like a story or a tale or event. So that means Allah is dissimilar to things that happen. He's not affected by events. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's always pre-eternal, pre-existing, and anything that happens in the creation, he's unaffected by it. Unlike us as creation, something can affect us, something else, there are factors of how we even survive that we need, All right, any questions on that?
Those 3 words.
No.
Yes.
They fall
Yeah.
under that.
Yes. So Allah is totally dissimilar in these 3 categories because all of his what he does is going to fall under this. So his that and his essence, there are certain things that we believe about him and things that we don't. And it's sifat, there are things that we believe that are described of him, things that we don't believe about him, and his af'al, his actions. All right. And it's going to become a little clearer as we go on. All right, any questions so far? Any questions, anybody on the online?
No.
Can we go to the next slide?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the next one is question number 10. What is our belief regarding Allah being absolutely dissimilar from all contingent beings? All right. So these next 3 is going to basically cover these 3 categories. There's that, his sifat, and his af'al. So this one, he's saying being totally dissimilar from all contingent beings. So we talk about his that, his essence. So the that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means that he does not resemble in any manner with the creation. That all that we see, that we can think of, Allah is not like that. All right. So we mentioned 3 phrases here that we should remember. Whatever you imagine in your mind, Allah is different from it. Whatever you imagine in your mind, Allah is different from it. All right. Another saying from one of the scholars: do not attempt to imagine the that of Allah. Do not attempt to imagine the self of Allah. All right. Meaning, do not go too deep in these things about how Allah exists and what, because it's too much. We'll never comprehend it. And this last saying, we mentioned it, your inability to comprehend Allah is your comprehension of him. Your inability to comprehend Allah is your comprehension of him. You remember who we said that statement? This is a trivia from last week. Any of y'all online? Huh?
Abu Bakr.
Yeah, Abu Bakr who?
Abu Bakr as-Siddiq.
Siddiq meaning what?
The truthful one.
How did he earn that name? Anybody remember?
By when he was asked about the night of the ascension, that the
Isra and the Mi'raj.
Yes.
What is the Isra and the Mi'raj? The Isra is the night journey the Prophet ﷺ made from Mecca to Jerusalem, right?
Yes.
On an animal. What was the animal's name?
Barak.
Yeah. All right. And then he got to Jerusalem. He led the prophets in prayer, right? And then he made the Mi'raj, which is the ascension, right?
Yeah.
And so he ascended to all of the heavens, the first heaven, second heaven, and there's a hadith about that he met each prophet on a time. And so when this happened, he said the Prophet that this happened in one night. So rationally, it's impossible to travel from Mecca to Jerusalem. Was I think we had a trivia question on that. We were supposed to find out how long that was, the distance, and then to make the ascension to the seven heavens and then come back in one night. Rationally, that's impossible. So when the Quraysh heard the Prophet ﷺ saying this, they reached Abu Bakr. So they basically like, yo, your man's tripping, man. You know, like he talked about he traveled over this distance and he made it to the seven heavens. Like, now this is like they're nailing the coffin, so they thought. And what did Abu Bakr say?
If he said it, then it's true.
He said, if he said it, then it's true. He didn't even hear the story yet. And that's how I earned for all times a Siddiq, the most true. These are the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us in our ummah to show us how you actualize Iman. I don't have to. I know Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I know who Allah sent to me. I believe in it with certainty, sincerity, confirmation. I don't need all the detail. We don't need all that detail. Our inability to comprehend stuff like that, that's it. Be content with it. Because we'll never get closure on that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just know that by his creation that we can't even, people still discovering planets and galaxies and, you know, they can't comprehend the creation. How can we comprehend Allah? And Allah put people in this ummah to show us this is how you just believe. That's why you just submit. You follow, you hear and obey, you submit, and you do your best to practice. All right. So these three phrases that we put, everybody should, you know, they might come up on some type of quiz or something like that. The one we just, whatever you imagine in your mind, Allah is different from it. Do not attempt to imagine that of Allah, and your inability to comprehend Allah is your comprehension of him. All right, everybody got that? Can I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now this next slide, question number 11, is talking about the attributes of Allah and his sifat. All right. What is our belief regarding the attributes of Allah, his sifat, being different from the attributes of a creation? All right. So we believe that the knowledge of Allah is not like our knowledge. His omnipotence or his qudra is not like our strength or his ability. His will is not like our will. His existence is not like our existence. His hearing is not like our hearing. His seeing is not like our seeing. And the speech is not like our speech. All right. So this is just clarification to make Allah completely unique and distinct with this phrase. To always make sure that Allah, he is attributed with tanzih, complete transcendence, unlike anything that the mind can conceive. All right. And his sifat are eternal. All right. Meaning what Allah, when he says he hears and he sees and all these things, how is it different from ours? Because there are people who were asked this in the past. Well, Allah sees and I see. Like, what's the difference? So we should be grateful that we have in this ummah the people that clarified these things in detail, so there's no doubt about it afterwards. This because what's the most important thing in Islam? To have Iman, right? None of the other things they're no good unless you have Iman and they're certain. So all of this is to make sure that we have certainty in what we believe in. Because Islam is a religion designed that it is certain, and that's why when you enter into Islam, that's it. This is not a experimental kind of thing, where, okay, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to take a course in Islam theology, and then I'm going to go see what the Buddhists talking about. Then I'm going to go see what the Zoroastrians, and then I'm going to go, and then I'm going to, nah, this is it. And this is put in detail so you don't have to look nowhere else, because everything here is designed to show you why you accepted this, why you have Islam, why you surrender. So Allah, we're summoned to surrender before because when you enter into Islam, did you know everything about it that you need to know? No. But you would udkhul fil silmi kafa, enter into Islam fully. Then these things will come clear to you when you do it with sincerity. So Allah is asking you to trust him, and once you trust him, this stuff becomes clear as the sun. But sometimes, people come in, we have doubts. We come into Islam through some other means. We didn't really study it. Somebody might have taken shahada for somebody else. Any of those things. Allah says, come into it fully, and these things will be clear. All right, so his sifat are eternal. So for instance, examples, like for us to hear, we need range, we need pitch, we need all of that thing. Or, we can become deaf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is totally unlike that. Our sights need instruments and light and distance. All of that affects our sight. Allah's sight is nothing like that. Our speech is with letters and sounds. Allah's subhanahu wa ta'ala's speech is nothing like that. And Allah's knowledge is not learning something after not knowing something like ours. We discover things with knowledge. We learn things and we forget things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is completely unlike that. All right. Any questions? Hello, we still there?
No questions.
Is that your connection breaking up, or is that mine?
No.
Say it again. Say it again.
And then now you keep feeding, and now I'm trying to figure out if it's me or versus.
It might be me. Well, what it was breaking up, you said a little bit? Can you hear us now still?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. All right. Can I go to the next slide or?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, the next slide. Now, this one is talking about the af'al, all right? The actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being different to the actions of the creation. What is our belief regarding it? We believe that the actions of Allah are not like the actions of the creation, since Allah performs actions without any means or tools. And what is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the main way that he performs actions? All of this was put into motion how? Kun fayakun, be and it is. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he does not perform any action out of necessity, nor does he perform any action in vain or without any benefit. So that's how it's different from us, We're forced to do certain things. We're forced to react to situations. Nothing compels Allah to does what he does. He does whatever he wills, whenever he wills, however he wills, and whatever wisdom or whatever's connected to it is for it's for him to know. All right. All right. Can we go to the next slide, or we got that?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we good.
Okay. Okay, now we'll stop here after this one because I wanted to, last week we mentioned about the ayat, Laysa kamithlihi shay. Laysa kamithlihi shay. All right. Wa huwa samiul basir. All right. So everybody see that? I wanted to break this down. Everybody know where that's found? What surah? Ayat?
Surah 42, ayat 11.
Yes. Laysa kamithlihi shay. All right. So y'all got the PowerPoint there, so but this is for my students who are here. Laysa kamithlihi shay. Okay, where's my Arabic grammarians at? We got Brother Issa here trying to hide in the back. All right. So let me just do the transliteration. Laysa kamithlihi shay. All right, so everybody know what Laysa means? Laysa means nothing, right? Or it indicates a negation. Negation. As opposed to, just a little quick, when you say la. La means what? It means no, but it indicates a prohibition. La tagdab. Do not become angry. All right. If somebody says, let's see, I'm trying to use an example. Surah 42, ayat 11. If somebody says, are you sick? Somebody says, hal anta marid, you would say, la, lastu maridon. I am not sick. So you're negating sickness for yourself. That's what laysa means, all right? So laysa here it means nothing, all right? Ka. This ka is in Arabic is one of the harf jar. Everybody know what harf jar is? It's the letters that come as in front of a preposition, in front of a noun, all right? So they affect the word that they enter on. All right, so ka is basically used for resemblance. All right, so there's a saying in Arabic, Layla kal badr, that Layla is like the moon. All right, not my Layla, just Layla. You know, Layla's a famous name. Cat, the letter cat. All right, so this is the letter by itself, but when it's added to a word, it means resemblance. Kamithlihi. All right, so if you say Layla is like the moon, Layla kal badr. Layla is not like the moon literally, but how is she? How in that phrase? How is she like the moon? She resembles the moon in what? Yeah, beauty, light, splendor. All right, so that's what that ka when it's put on the word. It's like that. It's not exact, but it's similar. All right, so Laysa. Then we got mithlihi. It's two words. So I got my Sheikh Issa here. He got to tell me something. So it's mithl plus the ha here is a domir. It's a pronoun. So that's what this is, mithlihi. What kind of phrase is mithlihi? Anybody online? If you put two nouns together, what is it called? Yeah, in Arabic, it's a phrase I'm looking for. Come on, Abdullah. You talking about you got all these books, man. Where they at? I'll just mess with you, man. It's called idafa. Idafa. Idafa means two nouns put together. So mithl means example, right? What we put up here. Example or instance, all right? So example or an instance. And this is mean his. It's a attached pronoun. Tu, ta, ka, ki, hu, ha, kum. You hear these words like we say, assalamu alaikum. Kum is an attached pronoun. Peace be upon you all. If I say assalamu alayka, peace be upon to you, individual. Assalamu alayki, to one sister. Well, peace be unto you, sister. Assalamu alaykunna, peace upon you, group of sisters. All right. Assalamu alayhim, peace be upon them. All right, don't worry about that. We'll just give an example. But this is attached to this word mithil. Mithil means like an example. All right. So laysa, not resembling his example. So here's meaning his example. Who we say his example? Who we talking about? Allah. Anything. Shay'un is anything. So it's general. Anything that any object, any creation is not like Allah. All right. So when we say laysa kamithlihi shay'un, there's nothing like Allah. The translation you'll see there's nothing like unto him. A good translation that I like, there is nothing that resembles his likeness.
That's the definition to the commitment.
Yeah, this is what this means. There is nothing that resembles his likeness. So if nothing resembles his likeness, how can anything in the world resemble Allah? How can anything that you can imagine resemble Allah at all? So this totally annihilates any kind of people who have ideologies that God is a man or God is a woman. None of that. Allah is Allah. It's not nothing we can imagine. Don't even imagine his that. Don't even try to, you know, because what does it lead to? It leads to people having bad beliefs, you know, people making the law a man, making the law a woman. Why isn't he a woman? Why can't he do this? Why can't he be black? Why can't he be white? But if you understand the belief in Allah, full stop. Allah is Allah. That's it. You know him by his creation. You know him by his wonders. You know him by his actions. You can never comprehend him because we can't even comprehend his likeness. So that's something to remember. All right, everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Yeah. So now that you know Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, your inability to comprehend the law, that's how you understand it. Know that you won't understand it, and don't try to understand it because it'll overwhelm you. You know. Okay, I said we'll stop there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is there any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have a question?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Why do you think that the the brothers who've been in the deen for the past maybe like 50, 60, or 70 years, why is it that maybe these things hadn't been taught? And do you think that like many of brothers known about this, but how come it's just coming out like, but not like recently, but we're just being exposed to a lot of this?
Well, we've been bamboozled, hoodwinked, run amok, led astray. Because this is the belief of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah that's been passed down for centuries. And we've been given something that is a diversion away from that. And it appears to be the truth because, you know, like all deviant groups, they all claim the Quran, they all claim the Sunnah, they all claim to follow the truth. But what's been passed down, that's, you know, from generation to generation to generation. And that's why you need to know this stuff and the dates and stuff that we're going to be given. And then you know what a deviation is, because somebody hoodwinked us with this last. And I'm trying to avoid using names, but we've been hoodwinked. And once we start getting clear, and some of the statements that some of these people have been saying, you'll know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And it's important to know these things and how we've been deprived. Mm-hmm. We've been deprived of traditional knowledge because someone told us that these people came out of a certain region and they had petrodollars, and we thought that they was teaching us the truth because they knew Quran and they knew references from the Hadith and some of the Salaf. and it was all cherry picked. They didn't follow the traditional method. They cherry picked what they wanted us to know and hear from us what they didn't want us to know. And let me give them the best example. I can't think of one right now, but we've been hoodwinked, and we got to retrain ourselves, you know, because this stuff seems like it's new, but this is centuries old stuff we're talking about. You know, because you know we hear this phrase about Quran and Sunnah, but now we got to ask ourselves on whose understanding, whose interpretation we've been given. Somebody gave us an interpretation and called it following the way of the Salaf, right? But it's something, when we get into detail, you'll see some of these things are not even from the Salaf, or not even from Islam. Go ahead.
The mere fact that you're explaining these necessary attributes, you have a group of people who say that people that believe this only accept a certain number of attributes.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is one of the things when we said these attributes, one of the accusations that they say against Ahl Sunnah is that they say we only believe in these 13 or 20 attributes, and that's not true. No, we believe in these necessary attributes for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we believe how many names of Allah? How many names of Allah?
99.
Yeah, 90, but Allah has more names than that, right? He has more descriptions than that. It's eternal and it's unlimited, just like He is, except for what we believe that is rationally impossible for Him. All right, and that's contained in when we're gonna cover the opposites. Like for instance, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He absolutely exists. Right?
Yes, sir.
What is the opposite of existence?
Non-existent.
Right. We don't believe it's impossible for Allah to not have existed at any time. All right. So we're going to cover those, and this is why these attributes, the norm, they are necessary, because this is how we understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in its totality. So when you digest and know these names and understand what they mean, then there's no doubt about why you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the connection with the Lord is clear.
Alhamdulillah.
Because his power is manifested, His will is manifested, His existence is manifested, His speech is manifested. All of these things that we're going to cover in detail, inshallah. All right.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but we've been hoodwinked, man. You know, and in my personal view, I think that with all of the movements that we had, the Islamic movements we had in this country, people don't want to come to terms with the last one that they got was seemingly the truth. They don't want to throw it off, because it's like, okay, am I some type of dummy that I keep falling for these movements? No, we just been denied, man. You know, we live in a country, somebody can start their own religion. You can come up with your own doctrine. You can go get it. Federally approved, and you can start your own movement. It don't gotta be based on nothing. I think I'm gonna try that, man, because you get funding for that kind of stuff.
That's boy, look at about this. Boy, look at here. Wait to hear about that one.
Boy, look at here. Yeah, but yeah, because some of these things we're going to examine that people are promoting as beliefs. When you know these attributes about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know this is impossible to believe about Allah. It's not even suitable to attempt to believe these things about Allah because of who He is, right? So we're going to cover these things and go, because if you go forward in the book, some of these things are coming. We'll discuss, we add some notes, inshallah. So just, ride with me, inshallah, and we try to cover as best as we can. Any other questions before we conclude?
Yes, sir. Can you go back to question number 2? I didn't get to finish with the notes. Okay. I'm not that far off, just the last,
Question number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see how you go back. Question number 2. This one, what does Islam mean?
Yes.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Yes, sir.
To testify with the tongue and to believe in the heart that all that which our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with is the truth and is correct. And testify with the tongue and believe in the heart with ikhlas, tasdeeq, and yaqeen. In Islam, istislam, to surrender, to yield. All right. And the ayat reference is 2:208. All right. So some of the things, we had a little homework assignment, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
What was it? Some of the names we had to find for Yawm al-Akhir.
Yes.
All right. What was the other thing? Did we have something else?
The names of judgment.
And the names of the day of
Just the
judgment.
names of the day of judgment. You got Yom Al Akhir. That's one. So don't nobody write that one down. Don't give me no givens. All right. And what was the other
When
trivia
you done
question?
with that, can you go back to question 6?
Say it again. I didn't hear you.
Can you go back to that?
To which one?
Number,
Which number is it?
question number 6.
Number 6. What is our belief regarding the existence of Allah? Is that the one you're talking about?
I didn't know that.
Was that it?
All right, I got it.
Okay, I'm going to email you these PowerPoint notes. All right, so this is going to be recurring. Like I have to email them to you every week because I'm adding the notes as we go. And then once we complete the book, we complete the book with the notes. And then the goal of it is for you all to take this and run with it, and then you can teach it. You know. All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
this ain't no I don't roll like that. You know. Like, yeah, man, class with Iman Fahim. No, this is the class for y'all to know something. Make me proud, man. Don't be out here embarrassing me. Like y'all don't know what y'all supposed to believe. No, I'm just joking. All right, any other questions? Any other questions? Everybody good?
We're good.
All right, how's everybody with health, wealth, and knowledge of self?
Alhamdulillah, doing well.
Good.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay. All right, so just review some of the stuff up until where we left off. Laysa Kamithli Hishay, and then we'll continue. We should finish the necessary attributes next week and then start into some of the details. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. I thank you all for attending. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our efforts, inshallah, and give us the ability to complete this work. Ameen. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
That's the end of it. Oh, shalom.